In this endeavor. Alrighty. Hello, everyone. Welcome to F.A.L.L.O.U.T.P.O.D.C.A.S.T, aka episode 156, aka the wife just went pescatarian, so I'm at home living off chewing gum. It's a fall showdown, futile fall showdown with all 525 songs going head to head. We're in round three, a work in progress due about 2026. Big love to Danny and his annotating Phoenix of the Fall and all them what fall. Joined as always by the Pemberton Walker, Alistair Aspinall, in a garden, now in a house. How are you doing, Alistair?
It's not my new house, though.
No.
I'm all right. Some Melvins, that was good. And I got played on WFMU. Bloody
You
hell.
did? You got your record got played on WFMU. What's going on there?
God knows witchcraft and sponsorship.
Very, very good. And how are the Melvins then?
Shit up. Really good. Recommend them to anyone.
Brilliant.
Even if you're not a Melvins fan, they're very entertaining.
Very good. Very good indeed. And they're not playing with Napalm Death anymore, as we established earlier off camera. No. Oh, good. And Summer of Dan continues. Dan, how are you?
Bracing every day, you know me. Just got back from Well. In the Welsh Valleys.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
Watching a bit of footy. Welsh third division Togo. Absolutely shit, but very beautiful.
Doesn't get much better than that. And special guest, we've got Wesley Gonzalez. Wesley, lovely to have you on the show. How you doing?
Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I always ask the same questions to get the ball rolling. Wesley, what's your kind of history or love-hate with this institution, the Fall?
Oh, well, the Fall, I think I got into the Fall through Pavement. I remember I first heard Slanted and Enchanted at a very early age. I was like 12 or 13 when I first heard Slanted and Enchanted and was fascinated. But of course, like this was very early internet. Like I think I'd gone on and a bunch of people were saying, well, just ripping off the Fall, just ripping off the Fall, just ripping off the Fall. So I immediately went and bought from Sister Ray this unofficial Fall box set that was like 3 CDs. It was the worst cover of any record I've ever bought. It was terrible. That sort of period of 2000s chaos within the Fall where they're just any old label was releasing what they could. But it adds The Classical was the first song on there, which I think is still my favourite. It would be my Desert Island Disc, The Classical. It's just like, and as soon as I heard it, and I remember around, it must have been like, because as soon as that happened, I bought Witch Trials, I bought Dagnet. I basically bought all of the early up to Hex, really. Yeah. And I remember my first experience of getting blackout drunk was to Hex Induction Hour on my own, drinking vodka, and passed out for a day and was like, this is the band for me. This is my kind of thing. Yeah. And they've just stayed a continued obsession of mine. And just in like, it'll be, I mean, my core fan, you know, like period is probably the up to Hex period, which I grew up. But I went to see him a bunch when, you know, I had the opportunity. I saw them at Hammersmith Palais with the sort of lineup they had with the guy from White Fence.
Yeah.
Leaving my mind at the moment.
Tim Presley. Tim Presley.
Yeah, that's the one. And they were great. And yeah, just been completely obsessed my whole life. It's sort of changed how I've made music. It's, you know, they're a, and I've in the process become very long time friends with Mark Riley as well. So a lot of our conversations are heavily me asking about recording sessions in Iceland and that kind of thing. So yeah.
Very sweet, beautiful. So there's 6 tracks tonight. We've got Touch Sensitive against Smith and Mark, which is another version of Exploding Chimney off Imperial Wax. We've got Debbie Descendant against Hostile and My New House against Birtwistle's Girl in Shop. Wesley, do you come across most of these before?
I know I was about half. With my 90s Fall knowledge is where it sort of drops off a bit. But I don't want to get too far into the tracks. I was very pleasantly surprised by one, at least. Okay. That was a period that I was like, oh, that's in my mind, I was like, oh, that's a dark period for the Fall, but then you when you hear him, you go, oh, this is brilliant as well. It's mind-boggling.
There's gems all the way through, and I think now we're in round 3. We've managed to shave off about 350 songs, most of the good ones actually, but we've still got some good ones left in. But some hidden gems in there tonight, and then obviously some biggies as well. So all right, let's kick off, and what I'll do is incongruously throw in questions about your music along the way.
Sure.
Don't mind. And
I'm happy just to talk about the Fall. So
yeah, but I want to know how it connects to what you do and your your take on things. So good. All right, let's kick this off. All hear that? All right, yeah, good.
Let's go. We're going shopping.
You are drunk up too old. They say, what about the meek? I say they got a bloody cheek. Fancy everyone hear me? Now, the pub and in the street. It's tough Sam's to tell. If you frown, you are a crib. If you say it's pretty cold, you are too drunk or too old. Gosh, it's tough Sam's to tell. Time stands to tell. So tell will not be captured. Never. His spectrum knowledge cannot be encapsulated within the confines of its treatment scale. Remember, Colorado, the workman.
Alrighty, nice. So we had Touch Sensitive and Smith and Mark, and I played the somewhat infamous Jerry Sadovich appearance, where I guess the bass player and Neville Wilden, the guitarist, had left. So Julia is now on guitar, and she's having a good go. But it's a beautifully ramshackle version of the Fall that I just love to watch whenever I can. Along with that recording with them in HMV, when it's just a DAT tape and Julia and Mark, I think it tests the waters, doesn't it?
Oh, I don't think I've seen that one. I'll have to track that down.
Yeah. Dan, I'm coming to you first. All right. So what have we got there? Yeah, those two. What are you thinking?
Let's recall how these two songs got here. Touch Sensitive in round 1 beat Jungle Rock, which I don't remember, and One Day, which, yeah, it's better than that. And Smith and Mark beat in a 3-way dance, I think, beat Reese Stick and Cosmos 7. Oh, I can't find any reference to what else it beat in another round.
Well, that's because Dan, I believe it came in from the outtakes episode, because it's a kind of alternate version. So there you go.
Right, Very good, very good. So I now realise that my band was never influenced by the Fall. We were only influenced by that Jerry Sadowitz performance. That's what we sound like gig 1 of any tour. And then hopefully by gig 7 it sounds like the DAT version. Another Culloden reference in Smith and Mark, which because we had the other one with Culloden in, which is North Will Rise Again. And then there's a Do Total thing, and he says Spectre. So there's an interesting kind of looking back to that early classic era. Smith and Mark as a song is a bit my first noise rock band. Doesn't really do it for me, I'm afraid. Can't really go any further than that. Touch Sensitive, I'm going to say the insincere thing that like people say when they're happy for someone's success. I'm glad they made a few quid off it, but it never really, like, this is one of those songs that's like influences the bad part of their later period where it's like they become kind of this kind of parodic garage rock band. And I find that the least fascinating possible avenue they could have gone down. It's not a shocker, but it's never done it for me. That said, the Sadowitz version is better.
Yeah. I imagine after they finished, they drank a lager drink and they drank a cider drink. And yeah, maybe a little bit bandwagon jumping, but we're harsh. Wesley, those two, what do they do for you, and which one stands out?
I mean, I know Touch Sensitive, obviously, but it's a classic in the catalogue, far better than I do. So I'm getting the names up here. Smith and Mark. I've never really delved into Imperial Wax Solvent, but it's interesting you say about the sort of parodic garage band thing that sort of 2000s Fall is, because I do know what you mean, but I think I have a qualm with Smith and Mark because of the production on that, and I find that sound of the Fall the hardest to sort of, because it's so clean. Yeah. The band sounds so clean. I always find it such a strange juxtaposition of what I want from the Fall that I like. Like even the brilliant tracks that sound like that, I'm like, oh, something's up. What's going on? This doesn't quite like. It takes me a while to sort of sit with it. So I'll always probably gravitate towards Touch Sensitive, but it's not like I wouldn't say it's one of my faves either. But it's also like it's great to see that video played on MTV2 with just like how crap it is, and it's so like it's that kind of thing where it's 1999 and they're still so much themselves. It's really like brilliant to see.
Yeah, it's beautiful video, and just I really do wonder what was going on at the time, whether the money was in the industry a bit more, come back, and again, I can't shake the fact that it's the Fall's attempt at having a hit, but yeah, and he should have been, he really should have been top 20, absolutely. Yeah. But life ain't fair, is it? So all right, so Stuart, our friends on the other side, has said, Touch Sensitive is something delightfully crappy about this track, even before the remaster job. It's almost brittle, but the enthusiasm and the great simple riffing wins me over every time. I remember fondly doing a double take at the TV commercial. Yeah, of course, it was TV commercial, and then it went to court, and they ended up suing each other over. And that was the infamous Guardian article, which Fall lyrics hard to hear, says judge in copyright case. What a surprise that they couldn't work out what Smith was singing on it, therefore whether or not they could sue him for it. So Alistair, what do you make of these two?
Yeah, they're both bad Fall, aren't they? Touch Sensitive, F.A.L.L.O.U.T.P.O.D.C.A.S.T advert, like you mentioned. Do you like the recording of the drums on there? They're quite sort of beefy sounding, and with the guitar, it's like a lot of it's in the rhythm for me. They take it from that kind of like little stabby riff to, well, not quite stabby, but to a more flowing one, and it gives it the nice dynamic. Instead of its time, does remind me of something like the Hives or something like that. That was going around and they were doing quite well for themselves, weren't they? But it's simple, effective, slightly formulaic. But it works.
Bit Pro Tooled, right? There's definitely a whiff of the Pro Tools going on.
A lot of editing, studio trickery going on. But there's some nice minimal bits in it as well. It's like the bits where it drops down to the drums and vocals. I think that's quite effective. another live version of this by Dan Morfitt and Matt Warwick off WFMU for a fundraiser, which was like pretty shambolic.
Right.
But yeah, with Shadowitz thing, did you ever mention him to Rob? Because I do remember Shadowitz playing. I think it was some sort of comedy festival in Canada about 1990.
It'd be just for laughs, right? In Montreal, yeah. There's a
and he came on and just went, "All right, moose fuckers," and there was nearly a riot.
Good lord, he's out of control. Is that young man?
But yeah, Smith and Mark, it's a nice shortish one. Simple structure, don't get too challenging. And again, it reminds me of like stuff like John Spencer Blues Explosion when they went studio-y.
When they went shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
A bit like that, you know.
Fair enough.
Imperial Wax, it has its moments.
Yeah, well, a lot of people have suggested that the fall one has a bit of a Iggy Pop vibe. I've got it on mute, so you can't tell what this advert's showing, but it's for the lottery.
Knows it?
I love girls. They're all over this world.
But I mean, it's a pretty generic riff at the end of the day. But we'll give it to him.
And one day I will find someone who likes reading comic books and drinking red wine. Yes, one day there will be a time for me. And you will never understand because everyone finds time for you. But for one thing, there's no time for me. The position that I am in, even genocide seems reasonable. But I can't get all that together. The position that I am in, even genocide seems get that knife right out my... Just like before. This is the death of an indie pop fan. I wish I was in hospital. Joe Redlington, you'll be the death of me. Don't want to go outside. I don't want to party. Sleep on my shame. I'll cross all my name. I'm going out and I'm not coming back. You've embarrassed me
Yeah, Wesley, I want to ask you a little bit if there's any particular like fall tracks that were a big influence on your sound, whether with Let's Wrestle or your more kind of modern stuff, which is a bit more synthy, I'd say, or electronic.
Yeah, huge. Like I again that grotesque hex is just informed everything Let's Wrestle did. Really, those two records. I mean, everything. It was like Nation Saving Grace. I was even up to then. I was sort of, that period was very much what I was in when I was making Let's Wrestle. I sort of hadn't even gotten to the sort of past. I don't think I'd heard past then by the time we were making records. I don't think I'd had enough time. We started the band when I was about 15. So, but yeah, huge. Like I actually have. I read Renegade when it came out. Very excited about the autobiography and stuff. And I took a piece of advice from Mark Smith in that book that has served me very poorly. But which I imagine taking career advice from Mark Smith will get you. But that's the route I've chosen to take. Where he was saying about work shy musicians and how people should treat it like a job, write a song every day. I ended up making the second album in that way, where I wrote a song every day, but I never went back and edited them or made them any better. So the second album kind of came out a bit strange. It's like I wish I'd paid more attention to what I was doing and focusing on the.
It's kind of weird you say that. It's weird you say that because I was listening back this week, and the first album and the third album, great. I love them, but there's something weird with that second album. There's some good stuff. The second album,
yeah. It's got it's my least favorite record I've made, and I think it was. I really took it to heart, that piece of advice, and it's like, do this every day, and whatever. And
but of course he didn't.
Of course he didn't. Yeah. And but I think it's it was like I was about 18 at the time, and just sort of and at that sort of stage where you're just excited to be doing it all the time. So I was writing all the time, but it wasn't until the third record that I went, okay, the big key is to get the stuff that's good and go back and edit it and make it better, rather than to just keep plowing on. But it was also a really fun experiment. Like, it was probably the worst time in my career to me to do a big experiment. But on the verge of actually maybe being successful, I sort of went, oh no, I'll do this other way. But I think lyrically it's like it's informed. Like the two main lyricists is Mark Smith and like Randy Newman. I find are the two that have influenced me more than anybody else. And I think they're two lyricists that really don't write like other people, and that's the main thing. They're so individualistic in their approach and completely polar opposites, but also there's a bloody mindedness that runs through both.
Just before we came on, before you joined us in the chat, Wesley, I was saying to Brendan how I could see how your music would be right up Brendan's street, knowing what I know about him. But he's made a little playlist for us to kind of catch up on your more recent stuff. And the stuff that really struck me was that what I call to Brendan most show tuney, and like that Randy Newman. Really, that kind of makes sense now you say that.
Yeah, totally. There's definitely an element to that is funny in the sense of like, I feel like I'm really polar opposite in what I like in terms of like I want it. It's like the aesthetic of the Fall has continued, like that influence has continued on. But I think after Let's Wrestle, like sonically, I delved into things that are very, very different from that. But then it still retains. I feel like it retains it in the lyrics or the delivery, at least.
I would say I've said that about Malcolmus before. Like once Pavement hit Wowie Zowie or whatever, it doesn't really sound like the Fall anymore. But right to this day, you can see that influence is still there.
Yeah, definitely. They're like his. I only really think it's that slanted record, like because Crooked Rain doesn't even really sound that Fall. It's much more like. Clean and polished and more classic rocky and sort of big starry in parts. But I think that's what makes the Fall so interesting is that they are an aesthetic force. They can't, because you can't even track down and pinpoint what that band sounds like. You can't explain it in one go, but you can kind of explain the aesthetic. And I think it connects a lot of people who the reasons people are so passionate about it is because it's a kind of aesthetic that, I don't relate to much punk music anymore. There's still punk stuff I love, and stuff I grew up with, and then every now and then there's a band called Uranium Club, if you aren't familiar with it, I really recommend. I love and there's still stuff that comes out that I get really interested in, but it goes beyond the music of it. It becomes like a mindset, or like, I was taught, like, the music industry has been horrific this past year, and sort of like having behind the scenes sort of manager meetings and meetings with distributors, and how everything's fucked with Spotify and all this stuff. I keep saying, like, I'm so glad that I grew up on the Fall and with the Fall, but with other influences, like Lawrence from Felt and Denim is another huge one for me. I'm old friends with Lawrence, and
I want to ask you about that story later.
Yeah. But their sort of aesthetic, and they're like, well, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do, and if it gets successful at certain points, it gets successful. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I won't make myself look like a tit, or like, and also not even that. I'm happy with making myself look like a tit, but on my own terms. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, for me to put myself in that position. And I said to my manager, I was like, there's so many bands who've sort of gone, oh shit, the industry's falling apart and everything's terrible, and then they make a really homogenized, boring kind of thing. And it's like, I'd rather be the Fall and not get to those sort of levels, and have the fan base I have, and operate in a system which I can make the music I like doing, rather than coming off like a little twat and so soulless, so much of, like, not all music obviously, but like certainly within indie music, these days, to me. And I don't
makes a lot of sense, and it's just that integrity, like you say, it's a mindset as well. So it doesn't matter whether you're listening to 2015 or 1986. The Fall's got that through line of that kind of not just the sound, but the mindset, and so it doesn't matter who's playing in the band, because it's still going to sound like the Fall, because Smith's a terror who's going to make sure that happens.
But it is also fascinating how it's that if there was any band I could get back of, it would be the Fall, and trying to see how they actually formatted those songs, and see what influence Mark Smith had on the actual music of it, and how he explained stuff. I would love to see how that works.
Yeah, we've talked to a few people, but nobody seems to have much of a clue. We talked to Mayo Thompson, who produced Elastic Man, and
I love Mayo Thompson.
Yeah, and he didn't seem to have a clue of how it came to be, other than they just all did it, and then it came out magically. But we've had I think maybe it's beyond the realm of the human mind to work out how those songs are created. But
I thought it was just like, right, I'm going to the pub, you lot get something sorted, you better have it done by the time we get back.
Yeah, and then he gets back, and depending
I mean, it could well be, but then also it's like, how, like, for them to sort of, if he's pulling these guys out of the pub and who have no, like, because obviously I take everything he says with some sort of pinch of salt, but like, if he is taking people out of the pub and just going, here we are in the room, we're not talking about any influence and all that stuff, for certain things to come out and have a through line like they do, that's amazing if that is the case. And it could well be as well.
Have you heard the recording where he's shouting at the audio engineer, Kevin, mix up and the lad's got a CD, pre-mixed CD that he's playing back to Smith, and Smith's complaining the guitar's not loud enough, and he's going, and Kevin, the sound guy's going, I can't turn up the guitar, Mark. The CD is not. Oh, you can, Kevin. You're not trying hard enough. Come on. It's like Brian Clough for someone, just berating everyone around him until he sort of gets what he needs. which is probably not a pleasant, well, from many people, we've realized it maybe not be a pleasant place to be for too long. But all right, let me read some more of this stuff. So Max has said, touch sensitive. There's tons of songs in this period after this when the band are too quiet and the sound is too tame, and Mez is way too loud. This is the opposite. Every instrument thunders, especially the floor tom, which is mental. And Mark has to shout to be heard, which is how it should be done. Phil Snur, we got a new Patreon. Phil Snur, he's in the house and he's already all feisty and shit. So he says, touch sensitive, Route 1 stuff. The out of tune bass is the only thing that piques my interest. It's a walking down the street song, the one off the television. What's more to say? Very good. Very good. And then, Max says, Smith and Mike doesn't really stand out. It's kind of forgettable. Snurr says it's a game of two halves. Double time stuff is pure Sam Allardyce. Lots of industry, but lumping with dull results. The slow build-up promises much with the wobbly synth and the sub-bass, but then they contrive to spoon it over the bar. Strong relegation contender. While Stuart says a lesser version of Exploding Chimney. And I find its ramshackle stumble a lot more enjoyable than Touch Sensitive's bluntness, but I'd vote for it over Touch Sensitive if it was only the squelchy bass line with Mez on top. Yeah, I do love the squelchy bass line and stuff. And some of Greenway's kind of noise stuff, I isolated his guitar and it actually sounds pretty good. Some almost Albini-esque noises in there, but it's just mixed in such a way, like we said, that it's just too nice for me. And Touch Sensitive, I love it, but yeah, I can't get past the fact that it sounds like an Anton Dec song. So which way are we gonna go? Alistair, which way are you voting on this?
Touchy sensitive, Pad.
Knew you would. Wesley, which way are you going?
Definite touch sensitive.
Okie dokie. Max has gone for touch sensitive. Stuart has gone for Smith and Mark. I'm going for touch sensitive, even though I do enjoy some of the Smith and Mark. Which way are you going, Dan?
Well, I like the line in Smith and Mark, the work when yellow fetid appear at the openings of upmarket shops and streets. Clearly, he's been in Coffee Pot in the Northern Quarter and he's realised it's from but it's touch sensitive like all day, every day.
Yeah, old people worry about their milk, but in the street they call you filth. Pass down your barber till your carrot speaks. Living in the hard pawn shop lately and you're dying for a pee, so you go behind a tree and the Star Wars police vehicle pulls up. I say, gimme taxi. Sure, why not? All right, so it's easy at the end of the day, isn't it?
Building houses in Tuscany, getting all the LEDs for my own TV. I fixed the window and I fixed the door, but I broke myself, I'm lying on the floor. But I'm useful, yes I'm useful. So why did she leave if I'm so useful? I hope she needs me like I need her someday. I will not let my big emotions get a hold of me today. I'm gonna put an English face on them. A replica song under the Christmas tree was all that I noticed on Christmas Eve. Christmas dinner was a priority. You said I couldn't take it out with me. Watching out over the Irish Sea, I thought to myself that I've got nothing to do with me. Peering over my Danger Mouse sheets, the boxes said that I've got nothing to do with me. I shot a bird.
So that brings us to Deadbeat Descendant against Hostile, a little known number from the late User Syndrome. See, we have to. We always get Japanese adverts, Wesley, because I'm in Japan and my ad blocker doesn't work. So,
I see.
But enjoy
Yeah.
the banking commercials.
Records. It'll only take a moment with this computer. Here we are, Fred Flintstone. This is interesting.
What does it say?
It says that this fellow Flintstone borrowed $4 from the company and never paid it back.
Really?
And at 6% interest, it now amounts to $23,682,000. And 67 cents. Hey, you wouldn't be related to this deadbeat, would you?
Oh, me? Oh, I never heard of him. Wilma! Barney, Betty, let's get out of here!
Stop that man! Come back here, you deadbeat's descendant! Oh, darn these one-way sidewalks!
Sweet. Wesley, what do you make of Deadbeat Descendant and Hostile?
Well, Deadbeat Descendant, I knew already, loved that track. And Hostile was the one that was new to me. And actually the one that I was like, that record in particular, I remember always seeing it in record racks and stuff and just going like, oh, that's I'll never listen to that one. That one looks like just the cover of it. It was so against what I thought of the Fall. Yeah. And then when you sent the playlist, I was like, of all of them, I was like, this one fucking brilliant. And also the time frame, because that's like around the New York incident and stuff with Carl Burns and Steve Hanley, right? When they
it's just before. So this is what 97-ish. Yeah, 97. And maybe early 96-ish, right? Like usually.
But it was just like I was like, I haven't actually got round to listening to the record yet, but I'm really interested to hear it now and sort of really excited by this track. And it's so different. It's like Portishead's produced it or something. It's like it's so brilliant. I love it. I mean, Deadbeat Descendant is fantastic as well, and it's just it's just as good, but it's like again what we're saying about the Fall and that sort of aesthetic thing where it's completely different. It's like listening to one's like Portishead, one's like a demo of the B-52s or something, like in sound, but also some sort of like idiot savant mastery of both. You know, it's like managing to do both as good as the people who dedicate their whole career to making that sound. You know, it's fascinating. But no, I really loved Hostile. It really made an impact.
Well, like you, it's similar. I every time I come back to Hostile, I totally forget what it sounds like, and every time I love it. It sounds to me like it would fit on Ben's Sinister era with all those dark, gloomy, kind of British Grenadier and Realm of Dusk and all that. So but the drums on it are just so so abrasive against that kind of medieval-ish kind of background. Yeah, I really, really like it. That album, like User, especially the first 4 tracks, like DIY Meat, Des Vulture, He-Pep is a really good one. Yeah, it's got a lot of really good stuff on it, but I was the same. It looks like dog shit, that cover with and is like, do I want to listen to a mid-90s Fall album?
It's like they've been shot by the same person making Back for Good by Take That or something. It's like it's so of the time as well. It's so mid-90s, that kind of photography.
It's like the worst family photo ever. But it looks like, I don't know. He's got the kids held hostage or something like that.
Cy and Julia are kind of crouched down and hidden behind people, and then Bricks doesn't look at all like Bricks. I remember I don't think I realized for the first few times that even was Bricks stood behind Mark. It's but it was a great lineup. 2 drummers, Cy and Carl, and when they're really on form, it's good stuff. And it would, like you say, is the end. It's just before the end, right? Craig had just gone. It's his first record without Craig, I think. And beginning of the end, essentially. Dan, I'm coming to you. What do you make of this stuff?
Let's see how they got here first. Hostile thrashed Bonkers in Phoenix, rightfully, because it's an absolute dreadful, terrible.
Incorrect.
And in the round. So it's had a very easy route here.
Right.
The songs it beat are Pumpkinhead Escapes and Telephone Thing, but I think what's more interesting about what it beat is Pumpkinhead Escapes episode was when Jeffrey Lewis was our guest.
Okay.
Telephone Thing was when Tim Kinsella was our guest. So it's been wafted under the noses of American greats, and been found to be to the also I realized the Jeffrey Lewis episode was about 100 episodes ago, but I'd like to rebut Jeffrey Lewis's distaste for the John Leckie era Fall.
Okay.
Just to say that, if you're still listening, Jeffrey, you're
Jeffrey's a contrarian, isn't he? So I doubt. Let me actually, why you mentioned Tim Kinsella, Wesley, I think this is maybe a coincidence, but Joan of Arc, Tim Kinsella's band, has a song called "Let's Wrestle." I think is that where you got the name from?
We found that out just as soon as we released the first single, and had Joan of Arc fans the entire time asking if it was the same thing, but it wasn't. No, it was a David Shrigley book called Let's Wrestle.
Right.
Yeah. What we were named after. Which sort of, I don't know, I like, it's a funny one now where I was a really big fan of David Shrigley's, and I think what he still makes is valid and great, but now he's it's become so gift shop. It's sort of various.
My daughter bought me this for Christmas. I mean, he's lovely,
brilliant.
I know what you mean.
He's brilliant. 100%. He's brilliant, but he's become everywhere now. If you're interested in anything arts or whatever, it's sort of like a bit. So now maybe I'll switch to saying I do really like that Joan of Arc record. It's a nice coincidence. There was also a Liars song called "Let's Not Wrestle." That's something. People thought it had something to do with that.
Let's Not Wrestle, My Heart Attack.
That's the one. That's the one. Yeah.
Okay,
anyway,
good. I was pretty sure it's a coincidence, but yes, Dan, please continue. Apologies.
Yeah, and to be honest, I just want to echo kind of what Wesley said. I think Deadbeat Descendant is a really good pop song. As I've said probably too many times on this show, my first full-length record was 7 Alive, and Deadbeat Descendant is the only thing you can get your teeth into when you're like a 15-year-old trying to figure this out. Mm-hmm. There are better Fall songs, but as a first one, and I'm there with my Epiphone SG trying to work it out, that was a good little hooky one. Hostile is mint. I kind of came to this, I think I heard this, 04, 05 when I was Napstering everything and just listening to it on 128 shitty kbps things, and it's always struck me as a really wonderful, gothic-y song. I've never heard the alternate version that you also put on the playlist, Brendan, which reminds me of kind of like a death scene of a second-tier hero in like a 90s action film. It kind of like it lifts those voices up a little bit and drops the kind of that abrasive percussion, and you can see that the bones of the song are really secure. Like it's a really well-written, beautiful melody, and then the lyric takes it somewhere even more enchanted and even more strange. Yeah, I think Hostile is one of the best songs in a pretty rubbishy period for me personally, but like what up there with their best, deservedly in their best 128 songs, which is where we are right now.
Indeed. What Deadbeat Descendant makes me think of is Blue Oyster Cult. And I just wondered if anyone had done a crappy heavy metal version of Blue Oyster Cult, and of course somebody has done. Let's see whether you agree that it sounds like Deadbeat Descendant.
Seasons don't fear the reaper. No.
Alistair, you love this shit, right? What do you think of these songs?
Like Deadbeat Descendant, I really like. Bought it when it came out. Split with Cab It Up, a great song which I don't think got a great deal of love from you lot. But really reminds me of sort of like Sonics. It's that kind of garagey stuff, and they nail it. There's no fat on it. Everything is working well. Drums brilliant, driving kind of beats, guitars and bass working well together. Great tune. Hostile. I think I probably voted for Bonkers in Phoenix on the last round, but I'm a big Pinky and Perky fan, so that might explain that. The thing that really puts me off it is the backing vocals by Bricks, which just seems like completely, I don't know, just nailed on there, and it doesn't really do anything for it. And in fact, it just makes me
makes your blood boil, doesn't it?
It boils my piss.
Good lord.
No, it's one of those. I think it's one of the better ones on Light User. There is some nice production in there, nice noisy guitars, nice mix with the production. But it's like it kind of doesn't know what it wants to do in my head. It wants to be too many things at once, a bit kind of like shoegazy, a bit grungy, a bit, I don't know, like you're saying, like with the FX and stuff. Portishead has been mentioned. It's all right what it does, but it doesn't nail it for me.
Fair enough. Whatever. So, Deadbeat Descendant, what Max says is Bricks' last stand, and what a track to go out on. The band is super tight and the aggression is palpable. I always had a soft spot for this daft, ironic dance move, says Phil Snur. This dance move type song does it for me, but it doesn't sit at the top tier with Rock Lobster or Contort Yourself. If it does sneak through, it won't trouble the behemoths like Winter. If you cunts haven't already voted them out. Deadbeat Descendant from Stu says great track and pure late 80s sounds, massive reverb all over the drums and the stadium-ish space around everything, but the buzzing guitar saves the day with that super simple but effective riff. Is it a mockery of affectation? Is the deadbeat who is being instructed in how to move being pursued as an object of contempt? I have no idea, but it's exactly as long as it needs to be, and I've just listened to it 4 times in a row. Wesley, can I ask you about your time with Lawrence, and maybe if you see any connection between Smith and Lawrence as these kind of auteur wonderful geniuses?
I mean, Lawrence moved into my home when I was a teenager. He was he'd been kicked out of his place and he was facing homelessness, so we took him in, which is detailed in the documentary. And it was kind of perfect because I was at the age where I was getting into Scritti Politti in the Fall and early Rough Trade releases, and and also like being an incredibly like bands like 2.3 or Artery or the really obscure stuff and Lawrence was perfect because Lawrence was just a scope of knowledge on everything, and any time I brought up Scritty tell me about Meeting Green in '78 before he did F.A.L.L.O.U.T.P.O.D.C.A.S.T, and stuff like that. You know, it was a wealth of stories and knowledge, and got me into like bands like the Subway Sex, which were really life changing for me and stuff. And just his same sort of thing with Lawrence, where his aesthetic has really like permeated my worldview, and sort of, you know, I feel like it's like in a way, it's like in this age, I'm sort of like trying to take on Lawrence's aesthetic to a new younger audience or whatever. You know, it's like his sense of humor comes through in such a strange way, and in the same way that I love listening to a full record and you get the odd line that just makes you piss yourself laughing and you've never heard it before, even if it's a record you've heard hundreds of times. You know, I get that with Lawrence, and there's like there's a danger to the humor as well. It's like there's something sinister to it and fucked up. And there's a Go-Kart Mozart song I love called Sailor Boy about being sodomized on a ship, which I find hilarious. And but it's so fucked up. And like I see that so much with the F.A.L.L.O.U.T.P.O.D.C.A.S.T and the F.A.L.L O.U.T.P.O.D.C.A.S.T have been such a major part of Lawrence's musical life and stuff, and we talk about the F.A.L.L.O.U.T.P.O.D.C.A.S.T endlessly. So it's obviously had a huge effect on him. And I know I wish I kind of knew more about when F.A.L.L.O.U.T.P.O.D.C.A.S.T toured with them, because F.A.L.L.O.U.T.P.O.D.C.A.S.T toured with them in the early 80s, and I know he was really surprised Mark Smith was such a big F.A.L.L.O.U.T.P.O.D.C.A.S.T fan. He was like, he'd always thought, oh, this won't be his bag or whatever. But he got on really well with Mark Smith, and he really took him under his wing on tour and stuff. And it sounds like he was really lovely to him. So yeah, he's got really good fond memories of Smith.
Beautiful. Yeah. Daniel, something you want to chip in?
On that kind of point of like his aesthetic and like kind of him knowing a lot, I was listening to that Lawrence biography when I was on a bus a lot in the Czech Republic, and like the biography, because it's a contemporary biography rather than kind of going through the past, it's kind of like the author is spending time with him, and like he's very kind of careful to point out that like Lawrence knows exactly what he wants in like a pair of jeans or like in a social situation. And like I wonder, like, I think that's an interesting point of comparison with Mikey Smith. They're both they know exactly what it is that they want and what they like, and they can be contrarian to the point of like pissing people off to try and get it. And maybe that's why I'm not a very good artist, because I'm not like that, and like I'm kind of very passive in these things. And like, I don't know, like it made me think about like the qualities of like a great dictator, auteur, etc.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I completely agree, and I think I've picked up a lot of those from having such a close bond with him in my teenage years and stuff. You know, there's a lot of that contrarianism in me that's come from it. And like Lawrence, you know, Lawrence will ring you up randomly and you'll just spend the day with him, is usually like how you hang out with him. And that book is a fantastic portrayal of what it's like hanging out with him. It really is, you know, Will did a fantastic job of sort of the day-to-day minutiae of Lawrence, of how he sort of runs and his obsession with boiled sweets or whatever. Like it was licorice in the book. It was always Murray mints with me. Like he changes every few years. It's something he's obsessed with for that period of time. And I've sort of, I've picked up a lot of that in my own way of doing things, and sort of I've had it for the past, you know, I had a long period where I was obsessed with Yellow Magic Orchestra and just couldn't focus on anything else other than Yellow Magic Orchestra, how they were getting those synth sounds, what they were doing, like thinking about them and their situation, how what Japan was like, and like, you know, all those kind of things. And then it moved on to Prefab Sprout. I became obsessed with Prefab Sprout for the last few years. I've been obsessed with them.
Line of floors would take pride in something. Send in the clowns and let them rain on my parade. This fragile ego sinking, I let the room just sink in. You twist the knife so hard that I can't concentrate. It's you.
And now I'm in a sort of period where I'm listening to a lot of like Leonard Cohen again and stuff that I sort of listened to a lot when I was a teenager, and sort of, but like sort of the more folky stuff, and I've been listening to John Martin a lot and folkier sort of things. And I'll go through like periods of just like complete and utter obsession, and something that can be so similar can be so wrong as well. Like it's like what this is. I love Leonard Cohen. I fucking hate Cat Stevens. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like
it's not difficult.
Yeah, of course. Well, I'm surprised people. I've said that to a couple of people recently, and they were really up in arms about it. And I was like, "Is it cool to like Cat Stevens now?"
They're the same. I can't see the difference.
One of them got very angry when I said he ruined Harold and Maude. But it's there's. I think there's huge. I think in terms of I think as well, the same thing is like looking at their backgrounds as well, and sort of class thing as well. I think is both of their works really informed by class. That a lot of their contemporaries were just generally more middle class, or wouldn't touch on that kind of thing. And I think that's another thing that makes them both incredibly unique in their way of writing is their self-identification as, you know, proper working class people, but who may have a different worldview to what is represented at large of the working class.
Well, I mean, that's come up got a lot of times of Smith refusing to be that stereotypical working class, whatever person / artist, and just he just happens to be working class, and he happens to be an artist, and he's going to do both of those things in the way that is has integrity. And so I think that's he didn't lose either of those parts. And all right, let's press on, because we could digress much further. I do want to ask you one thing while it pops up. You're talking a little bit about influences there, and Prefab's pretty makes perfect sense for the later stuff. But Edwyn Collins and Orange Juice was coming to mind a lot. Is that anything, or is that just coincidence?
My publisher always mentions Edwyn Collins whenever I send him stuff.
Okay.
There's a real similarity with Edwyn Collins, and I loved Orange Juice, but I loved Orange Juice around the same time I sort of first got into the F.A.L.L.O.U.T.P.O.D.C.A.S.T and first started doing Let's Wrestle. So I've always loved Orange Juice and Edwyn's stuff, but not as much in later listening. But it's one of those. There's like records I feel like I don't listen to because I know I'm going to get into them in a couple of years, and now's not the time. Okay. And Orange Juice are a band that, like, I loved the Glasgow School, the really early singles when I was doing Let's Wrestle. And then sort of there was a couple of later things that I was like, oh no, this is a bit 80s, it's a bit washy sort of production. Yeah. And I didn't dismiss it and go, I'm not going to listen to it, but I just haven't got back round to revisiting that kind of stuff, because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff I'd really love in it.
Yeah, Dan's quite happy to, to dismiss them. I think the Proof Spread thing just made me understand it more because I think it might be just the timbre of the voice at times, but the actual twists and turns are very much kind of a Macaloon. I can see where I can see.
I find his writing just fascinating, like completely enthralling, and really, I don't know. It's so strange, but very like it's not like it's so is pop music, but it isn't in any way as well. It's a really odd thing that fascinates me.
Using a lot of the aesthetics of pop music, but you don't have to dig very far to be like, yeah, this is a very different beast.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So Max on Hostile with the songs that we're, in theory still talking about. Max says, sometimes the Bricks Mark songs alternate between the two styles, but here they are beautifully integrated. There's a great tension and atmosphere. Talking about atmosphere, the vocals, it's quite Joy Division-esque. I can see a little bit. I like I said, I see it more as being like the Dr. Faustus style from Ben Sinister kind of thing, which makes sense because the band's almost the same at that point with Carl and Bricks being in there. And Phil says, I'm not a big Light User Syndrome track, but hearing this in isolation, it holds up best when surrounded by holds up better than when surrounded by a direct like Spine track with some nice shadowy pseudo-religious lyrics and chanting, and a fair bit more doom than most of the later output. Still no Room of Dusk, but it does share a bit of its DNA. And Stu says another beauty, but the stadium has been replaced with a warehouse and our sketch is more suggestive and evocative. I can't make head nor tails of it lyrically, but it's beautiful regardless, and I will always celebrate it for introducing me to the word gangsterism. Certainly a lot more plodding than DD, but I appreciate it. No, we are the elite gangsters of the damned, criminals of the damned. You must come with us. For years they have believed we were inspired by the Holy Spirit and the work of God. They still recognize that many prominent NC members are wonderful people, though warm, intelligent, but terribly misguided. They call us shadowy and anti-hostile. Supposedly about, let me have a go at this word, neocatechumenate, which I believe was some Catholic sect that was at times called out for being slightly authoritarian. And what's interesting is we talked a little bit about production. It's produced by Mike Bennett, who's got a ridiculously interesting career. Started off producing Toyah and wrote some plays for the BBC when he was still a teenager. Then did some stuff with Kim Fowley. Did some remixes of Bob Marley along the way. Produced Rick Mayall's last thing he ever did, which was the Bedtime Stories, and he's now the lead singer of the Blockheads. And along the way, he produced Light User Syndrome. So interesting stuff.
Wow. I wonder if he did It's a Mystery by Toyah. That's a personal favourite of mine. Well, some people would see it as a guilty pleasure, but I do not subscribe to that way of thinking.
You have to check it out. I know he did the earlier stuff before she got embroiled with that King Crimson chap and lost her way. A lot of frippery going on. All right, let's take a vote. Alistair, which way are you going? Hostile, or we know which way you're going, right?
Yeah, we know which way I'm going. Dead beat.
All right. Dan, which way?
The martial splendors of Hostile.
Indeed. Wesley, which way are you going?
I'm surprised because it's a new discovery, but I'm going Hostile. It sounds fantastic. I'm really excited about hearing more of that record.
Interesting indeed. I'm also going Hostile, and not just to piss off Alistair, but I genuinely think it is a better song. I like Debbie Descendant. I just think that it is that Blue Eyes, that Don't Fear the Reaper bass line over a pretty nice sing-songy tune. I quite like it, but Hostile has grown on me every time I've heard it. Just that.
No, I really do not see the Don't See the Reaper thing at all.
All right. I'll get Steve Hanley to go around your house and show you. But
well, I've got new strings on my bass this week, so yeah, send him around.
I did message him a while ago, but he's never going to come on. So I also messaged David Trigley, and he never got back to me either. So we know who the real Fall fans are out there. Right.
I could ask Lawrence, but it'd be a struggle to get him on Zoom.
Be all right. If we need to go around to his house, we will do. We're not too far away. But we'll see. We'll see what we can do. Where are we going with this? I'm going for Hostile. Stuart's gone for Hostile, and Max has gone for Deadbeat Descendants. So it is a 4-3 victory for Hostile. Ooh la la. And that brings us. Wesley, you still okay for time? You got a bit. You got a little bit. Okay. All right. Let us go down to the last of the showdowns this evening, which is
imagine being able to build an app with your name on it.
Imagine that. Just imagine being able to build an app with your name on it. My New House against Birtwistle's Girl in Shop. Close parentheses. Hashtag not my mod.
Thank you. Total food. Hit it, Bill. Track 31, Inspection Hill. No 15 people offer where holidays go. 50 people offer where holidays trying to get inside.
I don't think that's the right song. One of the Money Mark songs sounds like it, but I can't remember which one. Alistair, coming to you first. My New House or the other one? Birtwistle's Girl in Shop.
The other one, Brendan, I've scribbled down here. It kind of reminds me of Hello Nasty era Beastie Boys, but like stripped back. It's like you've got like just 2 or 3 tracks there, and there'd be like lots more stuff going on top of it. Yeah. But I like the big sound with the drums, the keys, dead minimal. There's a nice groove going on. But yeah, I could probably benefit from something else being chucked on there. I think some cowbells or what could you use? Screaming children. Oh, that
are you suggesting that you require more cowbell?
More cowbell.
Didn't we already move on from
and screaming monkeys?
Whatever.
Yeah. Well, it works well in other songs, But My New House. Brilliant, isn't it? The guitar on that is just amazing all the way through it. The song goes on for bloody ever. And some people could go, it gets a bit boring that, but if you just keep on listening to the guitar, it keeps on changing and doing different things, and all the time it just sounds like it is sort of like the guitar abuse, but in a very good way. You got that nice kind of like country and northern backing with the bass and the drums. That gives it a nice little. It gives it the structure to it. It's like the canvas for the guitar to just go completely skronky. And I also quite like the acoustic guitar as well. It's nice, but it's all over the show. There's some almost yodeling in there. But yeah, it's a great tune. It just does everything that I want it to in a full song.
It's brilliant. And Craig, I played that in because I think Craig becomes more and more prominent as you go through it, and it's really nice and really good stuff. You
can see why Sonic Youth wanted cover, can you?
Yeah, they did all right. We've listened to their version before. It's not that different to the original, but they did all right. They did a decent job. Wesley, what do you reckon to My New House and Girl in Shop?
My New House is one of my favourite full tunes period. I love it, and it's sort of. It's funny you say about the acoustic guitar. It's one of my favourite things with sort of earlier Fall records that they don't seem to do as much as just having a really shitty acoustic guitar going on in the background, and it's sort of it does that sort of country and western thing really well, but makes it, because it's so shitly played, it sort of makes it this otherworldly thing. But I just love it, and I think it's a sort of Mark Smith a lyric thing that I love is when he's boasting, when it's like My New House, or later that cover of I'm Going to Spain, like sort of talking about, like, boasting about very mundane things. And that's something that I've definitely, like, I've nicked off him. Like I do that a lot, and sort of and it was funny listening to it because it's such a predominant track for me when I was a teenager that it's funny listening to it now and going like, oh yeah, I've got that from that, like sort of, how the influence can sort of get into things. Like there's a song that's coming out in the next thing I'm going to release that I'm like, oh yeah, I've nicked it from My New House. It's like it's the same idea basically. And yeah, it's great. I mean, as for the other track, I know it far less. I've heard it a few times before, and I love it. I think it's great, and it's one of those ones that I think it's fantastic, but it just wouldn't compare for My New House in comparison.
Yeah, we've been pretty harsh to This Nation's Saving Grace. Although there's a lot of tracks on it that we like, they just didn't stand up by themselves. But it's like Damo Suzuki got.
I think that's the
this.
thing with that. Yeah, that album is kind of a thing where you take it, and it's because I remember. Again, once I'd sort of got through the Riley era of the Fall, of like leading up to Hex, I sort of didn't know where to go, and like listened to Perverted by Language, which I really liked, and but Perverted by Language has got a few more singles on it and stuff. And then I remember This Nation's Saving Grace took a long time for me to fully get my head around and go, oh, this is brilliant, but it's brilliant in a different way to the stuff that came before it. And it is more of a piece of it's like it's a sit down, listen to the whole album kind of thing.
Yeah, between those two, so they took that big left turn after Perverted by Language into Wonderful Frightening, and then into and then this Nation, both with John Leckie, and those are two great albums. But yeah, we've talked about it at the time, like as a Fall fan in 1984 or whatever it was, to just to do it like a full kind of 90-degree turn or whatever into this kind of thing. But yeah, some nice stuff, and that idea of him bragging, but not being able to stick to the point. So he's bragging about stuff that's real, and then the next line is something that's completely nonsensical.
Yeah.
Like it's like, My New House used to say, no rabbit hutch about it. I bought it off the Baptists, and I get miffed at the darn polyester fills. The interior is a prison unconscious. Keep away from my new house. Wash the drawer of pills. It's got windowsills with lead scented in the middle of them. And I don't think I've ever heard it, like the Crosby, Stills and Nash. Our house is a very, very nice house. I just, there's just enough in it to make me think that there might be something there as a connection, but I'm probably stretching, to be honest. Dan, what do you make of these two?
Let's see how they got here first. So Birtwistle beat Wolf Kid Man and Hot Runes Summer Afternoon. I think I was on that show. My New House, no, I'm not sure here. It went up against Knowles' Chemical Effluence and then Craig Ness, but it lost against one of those because it returned via the second chance back.
Yes. I cannot, other than I think it lost to Knowles' Chemical Effluence ridiculously enough. That's kind of fucking shithousery that happened on this podcast. And but justice was served in the end. And obviously it's going to win it now, right? So
in the end, yeah. So I'm interested that you brought up that Money Mark clip, even though it wasn't the right one, because Birtwistle reminds me of BS2000, which is Ad Rock's side project.
All right, yeah.
And a side point, their sound man was James Murphy. And as a gift at the end of the tour for, doing a good job, he bought him the drum machine that is the Losing My Head.
Right.
So there's a kind of a nice little circularity, because obviously Murphy has heard the Fall, and probably there's something going on here. There is some kind of like tenuous connection, but a connection nonetheless. What I really like about Girly Shop is when that guitar kind of comes in halfway through. I actually prefer the guitar line to the synth line, but whatever. It's a good song, and I liked it last time. My New House, it's one of my 3 or 4 favorite Fall songs. When you listen to it on a nice system, which I now have in my room, that bass line is just, I could literally listen to that bass line on its own for an hour. And yet it's got everything else on it, which is just brilliant as well. One last thing I will say before I sign off on this. A colleague of mine asked me for Fall recommended. So I made him just a 10-track best of entry-level Fall. And he said, My New House is my favourite so far. I might delve into that album. And then later on he said, I also feel silly for thinking Yard Act was doing anything particularly interesting, although I do still like some of their songs. So yeah, it's like I'm kind of getting the normies at work to my news, and it's a good way to...
I don't see the difference.
Normies.
I don't see the difference between Yard Act and the Fall. They're the same.
I was thinking the other day about, because it's the new internet trend is co-worker music. It's like the new like millennial sort of Instagram thing. It's like, oh, co-worker music, that's co-worker music. And I was thinking that's a great name for an album, co-worker music. I was sort of thinking of using it to put it on my list of projects I'll never finish.
Beautiful.
Well, we've established that my job, which I won't say what it is, but my colleague and I have established that our boss, the person who has power over our working lives, is a big White House fan. So that's kind of an interesting...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's really funny. I worked with a massive White House fan. I worked at, this is a more appropriate place to be a White House fan, I guess, but Music and Video Exchange in Notting Hill, the record shop. Right. And there was this bloke who worked there, and you'd know if you were in for a good day or a bad day by what he was playing in the morning, and he'd only ever play 2 records. One was White House. He put White House on first thing in the morning, which was your bad day music. Good Day was Kesha's first album.
Right.
He had a very eclectic taste.
TikTok.
But it was weird coming in and going, oh, good, Kesha's on, good.
Yeah, geez. Well, it's good to know. That's all I can say. The lad's doing us all a favour with that. It's probably the same lad. He's probably now Dan's boss, which is good. Dan, here's a question for you. The Fall, you know the band The Fall, Manchester post-punk band. They actually did 6 songs that had the word house or houses in the title. Dan, you get first stab, and then I'll open it to the floor. How many can you tell me? My New House is 1, I'll give you that.
Am I just naming one? Or
no, you do them all. Oh, I expect them all.
All right. 10 Houses of Eve.
Very good.
I'm struggling at the minute.
There's another song that refers to him also buying a house.
So what house in the title?
Yeah. One's a cover.
Well, that don't count.
Ghost in My.
Yeah, that does count, Alistair. Of course it does. All right. Yeah,
let's pass it on. Let's see.
Yeah, so mine your house, 10 Houses of Eve. There's a Ghost in My House. Can either of you two gentlemen? One of them is not really fair because it's kind of an unreleased track, so I don't expect you to get that. I expect Alistair to get it. But any more? Come on, there's a big one. There's a big one there.
I'm rubbish with song titles, you know that, Brendan. Rubbish with song titles and lyrics.
But you're a wonderful human being, so we let you off.
I paid you, sir.
I must say, I'm in the same cat. I'm terrible with song titles. I'm trying to think again if it was something like if there's one pre-1983, just from my years of memorizing song titles,
you'll kick yourself, and I'll tell you.
Okay.
Tempo House.
Tempo House. That's the one. Yeah.
All right. Second House now is the later one off New Facts Emerge, the last record. That's about. Or what? Maybe a bit earlier. I can't remember, but it's about him buying a new house, or maybe having 2 houses. It's not. And then the last one is a song called Crack House, or the house that Crack built. That was only that was never really released, but we have come across it when we trawled the dregs. But
Crack House was a good band as well. It was Kramer, wasn't it?
Oh, was that? Is that his band?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So Max says, I put it to you that the line it's got windowsills appears in no other recorded work ever. It's the 80s and Mark is buying an ex-council house. It's Thatcher's dream and not even debased. A very fun and jolly tune. With so many fall songs, I can't tell if Steve's bass is out of tune or not. Well, I'm assuming it's Steve, but Simon Rogers was in on the scene, right? And at that point, Hanley was sort of on paternity leave around that time, so I'm not even sure if My New House is Steve Hanley playing, but Probably is. It's a good baseline, isn't it? Phil Smith says, Mind You House, I'm not on board with this nation's saving grace bashing that this podcast is meting out, even though it's the casual Fall fan's choice. This wonky sounding acoustic guitar is inspired and it builds really nicely with loads of scratchy strings. I don't think I'm going to like Phil Snare at all. I think I'm going to have to ban him and his attitude. But let's see if I appreciate Stuart more. My New House, good country and shuffle texture, and I always enjoy it when it's on. I do resent it a little bit because it knocked out Fitting and Working again and Noel's chemical influence, while clearly being less good than both of them. Time to set myself up for the hat trick. He's fucking got no idea, has he? Max says, Girl in Shop, I don't know how it's made it so far. For me, it's a disposable fuckabout session. While Phil says, very doubtful this is much more than filler generating jam. The drunken vocal is awful, woof bark, was donkey and all that. Still, the barn recorded drums do sound nice. But Stuart, he's got his act together. Sleazy and funky and nasty and blown out. The keyboard riff makes me think of Edwin Collins or something. It's another, everyone's at it. It's another of these quickly grabbed vocals. Takes like half of Are You I'm Missing winner, but I'm fully on board with it. I'll give it topped marks. Other than the fact he's not on Are You I'm Missing winner, I agree with most of these things. Dan?
Yeah, I'm sure if we rewind the tape to second round of Birtwistle, I think I said it sounded like Magic Piper of Love by
You did.
Collins.
Very good.
Yeah.
Good. And of course, Smith guested on that horrific 70s Night track that Collins
70s Night is fucking brilliant, you animal.
When Smith was really down on his luck, apparently Edwin Collins gave him a bunch of studio time. I can't remember what record it is, but they sent him down. Oh, that was the lad from Yummy was telling us because his mate was engineering it, and he was like, every time they set up mics around the room, Smith just literally walked around and knocked them over, and they it's like engineering for that, and they're on Edwin Collins's time as well. It's funny. All right, have I asked everyone? Alistair, have I asked you about this yet? I have, haven't I?
Yeah.
All right, good. And I've read all of these lads now, and more or less said everything that needs to be said. I got it. Like I said, we interviewed Spencer Birtwistle, and he told us all about Girl in Shop. What's really interesting is now Dan has now extensively quoted that interview on his Fall website, so that's good. But yeah, I love the raspy keys. I love the Money Mark or the kind of early kind of Beastie Boy, mid-period Beastie Boys kind of influence. Both gems 15 years apart, but yeah, the acoustic chug with the weird off-color stuff in the background of My New House. And Craig gets a bit of noise running around at the end, which he didn't get a lot of in that era. Brilliant. Never overstays his welcome, like you were saying, Alistair. It could go on absolutely all day. Beautiful. Let's take a vote. It's going to be an easy one, this, isn't it? So, Wesley, which way are you going?
My New House.
Easy. Alistair, what about you?
I'll vote for the house music.
Indeed. Dan?
I enjoyed that on the annotated Fall and now stealing from the thief, but it's going to be My New House all day.
Indeed. Stuart has gone for Girl in Shop, of course, because he's a fucking lunatic. And Max has gone for My New House, and love it. I'm sad to say goodbye to Birtwistle's Girl in Shop. Not really a Fall track at all, because Spencer Birtwistle wasn't even in the band, and his mate Sparky, who we don't know anything about, actually did most of the music. So, but there's very few vocals where Smith is as unhinged as that. He's barely audible through his toothless slurring, like trying to pick out words from his notebooks from 20 years ago and a Return of Joe Total or whatever. Not even the right track. Spencer told us that's not even the name of the song. He got them mixed up on the when he read the CD case. So all right, anything else to add to any of the proceedings? It's all done. Wesley, it's been a delight. Thank you for joining us.
It's been a fun morning talking about the Fall. Thank you for having me. Lovely to meet you all.
Care. What's on the horizon for you? Because you just put out the cheap
Feel. We've done like the first EP, and we've got a second EP coming out. Hopefully, if we can get all the pressing plants in order and everything by the end of the year, but maybe early next year. And I've got an album written for that project as well, so we're going to start recording that soon. And I'm in the middle of writing a solo record as well, and doing a lot of production and songwriting work for people. And I actually, one thing I should plug is my close collaborator, Josie Ray Turnbull, who does a lot of artwork with me. She's got a show in Southampton that I've done a 10-minute music piece for. So if anybody's near Winchester, Portsmouth, Southampton, get down to God's House Tower where the exhibition is on. That's where I was last night. So yeah,
beautiful. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the I gather you kind of did a lot of the earlier Let's Wrestle kind of stuff, and then did you outsource, or you kind of kept your hand in it a bit?
Me and Josie have worked. I work with Josie on her artwork, and she works on my music stuff with her artwork as well.
Right.
But it's always in collaboration. It's both ideas, and I've got a few people like that. My friend Alex and my friend Tim also we come up with the ideas together, but I'm doing less. I'm still painting and drawing because I used to do all the Let's Wrestle sleeves and stuff, but I just do that for my own. I did a couple of the artwork for the EP we did as Wesley Gonzalez and Wild Garlic. I did all of that stuff.
Yeah, that one with the guy with the Michael Jackson newspapers on his windows. Yeah,
yes,
that was nice.
Yeah. Well, that was actually based on Lawrence. Actually,
okay.
When I used to go around Lawrence's flat, he used to have the Sun newspaper all over his. He has a beautiful flat in Barbican with an amazing view all over London, and he'd covered all the windows with old copies of the Sun newspaper because he didn't want to get curtains.
Right.
And that's sort of what inspired that painting. Yeah.
Very nice. Who did the one for Appalling Human? Who painted that?
That was, I compiled an image and then I gave it to Iris from the band Girl Ray, the drummer. Okay. She's a really talented oil painter, and I knew she would be able to do sort of classical technique far better than I could. So she painted that one.
That's beautiful. I mean, but I love that aesthetic of kind of the stuff that's on the drawings that you do. But yeah, that stood out. That painting is really beautiful. So
no, I'm really pleased with Iris as well. Iris McConnell. Yeah, if anybody wants to seek her stuff out.
Good. Well, I will have interspersed somewhat randomly some of my favorite tracks of yours throughout this episode, so the people
Wonderful.
Who are will know of the gems, and I'll link a playlist. But yeah, thanks. Thank you for the music, and thank you for the.
Thank you for having me.
I'm always up for talking F.A.L.L.O.U.T.P.O.D.C.A.S.T, so if you ever want to chat more.
Absolutely. We've probably got about 30 or 40 episodes left, and maybe as we round in on the final, I might try and grab you again. But yeah, all the best.
No probs.
Take
all
care.
right, brilliant.
And,
have a good one, guys. Lovely to meet you all.
Thank you. And Alan, I'll see you soon as well.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye-bye.
See you.
Yeah, we got Danny next week, and then we'll be on our break for a bit. So look after yourself. See you later.